It has been inspiring to see how individuals, families, and communities have found ways to help one another throughout 2020. At Catholic Charities, we usually have 35 to 40 events a year where we gather and enjoy time together in support of important programs and services, while raising critical funds that allow us to respond to the growing number of people who are in need of the most basic necessities in life. Many of our events are now virtual. If you would like to be a sponsor for one of these events, please call 312-948-6864. That's 312-948-6864. Also, visit us at CatholicCharities.net/events and follow us on social media too. We so look forward to when we can resume our events in person and reconnect with our friends and partners throughout Chicagoland. For now, please consider donating to Catholic Charities so our vital work can continue. Thousands of people in Chicago count on Catholic Charities every day. Please help us help them today. Learn more at CatholicCharities.net.
You're listening to Catholic Chicago on WNDZ 750 AM. Every Monday through Friday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m., the Archdiocese of Chicago presents programming about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Voice of Charity. I'm Brigid Murphy.
And I'm Phil Buta, filling in for Marie Jokum.
Welcome, Phil. It's nice to have you in the studio.
Great to be here.
We have often said on this show that we could not fulfill our mission in Cook and Lake counties without our corporate partners. They provide wise counsel to us. They encourage their employees to volunteer. They offer invaluable financial support that sustains our life-affirming programs and services. And today we highlight a particular partner, Mike OGrady, who is Chairman and Chief Executive Officer at Northern Trust.
Yeah, Mike became the CEO of Northern Trust in 2018 and added the role of chairman 1 year later. He previously served as president of Northern Trust Institutional Business, and before that was chief financial officer of the Chicago-based Global Bank.
Mike joined Catholic Charities Board of Advisors in October of 2011. He has been a key advisor to our administrators. He has served on the investment committee. He and his wife Claire have served as chair couple of the annual St. Nicholas Ball. They have participated in sponsoring a family at our celebration of giving. And Claire is a regular volunteer at our Tuesday night suppers. Mike, I don't know how you have time for your day job.
Well, when it's something important like this, you find time. So thank you for having me this morning.
We're so grateful.
So very grateful you're here today. Thank you, Mike. One of the things we wanted to start out with, it seemed like made a lot of sense, is how did you first get involved with Catholic Charities?
Well, my wife Claire and I moved to Chicago back in the early 90s. And as you would expect, one of the first things we did was to try to find the parish that we would be a part of. And so we became parishioners over at St. Clement's. And as part of that, and as with most good decisions in my life, they really are things that Claire came up with. We were trying to think about what was something else we could do to just be involved in the community. And around Christmas time, through St. Clement's, they participated in the family Christmas program. And so basically, you would get a family that had provided their wish list, their list to Santa Claus for the things that they wanted for Christmas, and then you would go out and get the various presents and then bring them to Catholic Charities, and then they would have various, I would say, celebrations and distributions of the presents. So that was really the first thing that attracted us and got us involved with Catholic Charities.
Mike, that truly is a great story on how you became involved with Catholic Charities. What have been some of your most meaningful experiences with Catholic Charities?
So I would say that I'm going to highlight two aspects of the experiences. The first is really just the volunteering. You mentioned that Claire is a regular for the Tuesday night suppers and preparing for those, and I've had the opportunity to volunteer in the food pantry and do other things. And it's really those, I'll call it, on-the-ground opportunities to help others, I think, that are the most meaningful to us. And then the other thing I would highlight is you mentioned that we chaired the St. Nicholas Ball. And in times like this that we're in, where you don't have the ability to get together for a cause and for something that's important, that's definitely something that I would look back on as a meaningful experience related to Catholic Charities, and not just because of the gathering in and of itself, but also because of what it resulted in, which was the ability to raise a fair amount of funds for the programs at Catholic Charities. And so it was, yes, it was fun, but also, very meaningful to a number of the programs.
Mike, it's so interesting to me that, we are making use of your intellect, your hands, your feet. All aspects of the OGradys seem to be at work for Catholic Charities. And as we said, we're really grateful. Can you say a little bit more about, you run Northern Trust. It is, an institution of the highest caliber, and yet you are volunteering in the food pantry, and your wife is helping serve supper, and that is just so striking to me. And could you just say a little bit more about why that's important for you to do, or what that brings to your life?
Well, I would say that one of the things that I like about Northern so much, and why I feel so fortunate just to be a part of the organization, is that it is a service culture. Yeah. So there's not, I would say, two worlds that I think about, where, one is at work doing one thing, and then the other is, how do you serve in your community? They're actually very consistent. At Northern, service is one of our three enduring principles. And it's genuine that we think about serving our clients and, more broadly, serving the communities that we're in. And so it's something that it's a consistent line that runs through it, if you will, and one that, frankly, makes it very easy to, get up in the morning and go to work because you're there for service. And in the same way, when you think about what you're doing, outside of work, you think about it also in a service context. So I just feel fortunate to be, again, a part of an organization that has values and principles that align with my own.
Well, thank you, Mike, for that. I'm want to pivot on the conversation a bit to talk about the Chicago Community COVID-19 Response Fund. It has been a real powerful alliance of corporate support for non-for-profit agencies this year, and certainly for Catholic Charities. How did Northern Trust get involved in that?
Well, I will say that in the midst of what was a quickly, escalating bad situation for society more broadly, and certainly for the Chicago community, that one of the reassuring and inspiring things is how quickly people and organizations came together in order to think about and then take action on how to help those that were going to be in the greatest need as a result of the pandemic. And so I credit a lot of, say, individuals and organizations, but in particular, the United Way of Metropolitan Chicago and the Chicago Community Trust took a real leadership role in trying to contact different foundations and individuals and then corporations in Chicago to say, how can we pull a fund together very quickly, but then just as important, how can we deploy that as quickly as possible? It's one thing to raise the money, but then it's how do you get it to those that have the greatest needs. And so we were quick to sign up. I would say that was an easy one. We have a lot of difficult decisions to make, but being a part of this was very easy. So we agreed to contribute $250,000 to that fund. In total, they raised over $30 million. And then, importantly, instead of trying to, I'll say, deploy it themselves, the whole strategy was how do we get it to organizations that are the most effective in doing that. And so that's where Catholic Charities came in, because obviously being one of the leading community organizations and a reputation for that, that was also a quick call for the committee that was working on this. And so if I'm right, I believe they ended up making 3 grants to Catholic Charities. And I can tell you from the stories that I heard and people who were on the committee that Catholic Charities, the work that they did was just tremendous in meeting these immediate needs, and were viewed as being highly successful in trying to accomplish that.
Well, we are going to take a quick break after that, those glowing remarks. And it is phenomenal how the community came together, business, nonprofit, individuals, to really mobilize these resources. So we'll be back in just a moment on The Voice of Charity with Mike OGrady of Northern Trust.
October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. At Catholic Charities, we want to remind you that we are here for anyone who's a victim of domestic violence or anyone who has a concern about someone they think might be a victim. This annual recognition of domestic violence began in 1961. Domestic violence affects millions of people each year, both women and men of every race, religion, culture, and status. It includes physical, psychological, sexual, and emotional abuse, inflicted in both subtle and overt ways. If you or someone you know are victims of domestic violence and you are looking for a place to heal and recover, call Catholic Charities at 773-935-3434. That's 773-935-3434. We are working to bring hope and healing.
You're invited to Keep Hope Alive 2020, the online benefit and celebration of the Archdiocese of Chicago's Immigration Ministry and their nationwide program, Pastoral Migratoria. Join us virtually on the evening of Thursday, October 29th, for a night filled with music, camaraderie, and inspiring speakers. Cardinal Blaise Supich and Sister Norma Pimentel of Catholic Charities of the Rio Grande Valley, who was recently recognized as one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people, will be joining us to help keep hope alive. Now, more than ever, the immigrant community, both here in the Archdiocese of Chicago and across the United States, needs the leadership formation and accompaniment that Pastoral Migratoria provides. Registration is free, and sponsorship and advertising opportunities are available. Visit www.keephopealive2020.org for more information and to register. Again, that's www.keephopealive2020.org.
Do you have a gently used laptop or desktop computer that is gathering dust in your home? Consider donating to our Catholic Charities Veterans Computer Project. We will clean out your device, give it new software, and repurpose it for a veteran who is looking for employment. Your gift will make an incredible difference in a veteran's ability to find a job. Catholic Charities provides veteran services throughout Lake and suburban Cook counties, giving participants an array of professional and personal support. Our veterans have served our country, and it is our privilege to serve them. To learn more about Catholic Charities Veterans Services and the Veterans Computer Project, call 847-782-4219. That's 847-782-4219.
Good morning. Welcome back to The Voice of Charity. I'm Brigid Murphy.
And
Here
I'm
with
Buta.
Phil Buta. Phil, you missed your cue.
Sorry.
We are fortunate to be talking with Michael OGrady this morning. He is chairman and CEO of Northern Trust, a tremendous partner of both Catholic Charities and the larger Chicago community. Mike, tell us a little bit about how the pandemic has affected operations at Northern Trust. Are people coming into the office? What are you focused on as a business leader moving into these extraordinary times?
Well, certainly the pandemic has affected us as it has affected everyone. And as I mentioned before, we're a service organization, and so we're focused on serving our clients. And that means today, tomorrow, and also thinking down the road, longer term. And so it's about that, what we call continuity of service. How can we make sure that we're there for our clients? And when the pandemic hit, basically what we had to do, like so many other organizations, is really transition to where, the majority of our partners, as we call them, employees, went from working, in a Northern Trust office somewhere in the United States and around the globe to working remotely. And in a short amount of time, we went, to a position where there are over 90% of our employees that are working outside of a Northern Trust facility, usually out of their home, maybe in their home office, often at the kitchen table. And I could not be more proud of my partners in their perseverance and really determination to make sure that they're serving our clients throughout this entire time period. I can tell you, we never imagined that we would have this extended time period like this, and it's really drawn upon everybody. So we're still in what we call resiliency mode in trying to do this and make sure we take care of things today, but also anticipate what might be coming down the road.
Thanks for sharing that, Mike, about your operational shift. And I think we see another shift also. Under your leadership, Northern Trust has developed a new philanthropic initiative launching this fall called Broadening the Opportunities. Can you tell our listeners what this includes?
Northern has a very long tradition, as you've mentioned, of philanthropy and supporting our communities, so over 130 years. And yet, as part of the team here and with the leadership of Kelly Menard and Shauna Hayes, who head up the philanthropy area for us, we thought, this is an opportunity to step back and think about where we can have an impact. And so with that's where over 2018, basically, and into 19, we developed the Broadening the Opportunities strategy, which is really focused on youths between the ages of 16 and 24, primarily on the south and west sides of Chicago, and trying to make sure that they have the support they need to succeed. So food, housing, healthcare, education, so basic needs. And recently this year, we announced the financial commitment that goes behind this, which is $20 million commitment over the next 5 years in order to support that program and have an impact in the community.
Wow. Well, as Catholic Charities, on behalf of the social workers and therapists and everyone who works with our clients, we really salute you for what is a really integrated approach, right? We know that folks in need don't typically have just one need,
Right.
And that in order to be successful, you need to integrate all those services. And then, as you said, over the next 5 years, none of these things are quick solves either. And so staying with people for a longer period of time to make real changes in their life is essential. So, not that you were looking for our imprimatur, but we really salute that approach. And then there's also, I'm sure it's different this year, but there's typically an October month of service at Northern Trust. What does that look like this year?
Well, you're right. Like everything, we've adapted to this year. But October is an exciting month for us because it's what we call Achieving Greater Together, and it's essentially our month of service. So Northern Trust employees volunteer, throughout the entire year, And I think last year, for example, we were over 110,000 hours in Chicago of volunteer hours. So, very significant amount of time that's actually spent doing things in the community. And yet, each year we take October to do certain coordinated volunteer events together. And so this year, as you mentioned, it's a little bit different. So we have more virtual events. So last year, for example, I was able to work with the Northern Trust team and volunteer over at Mary and Joseph's Closet, which was, again, both gratifying but also fun to do it with my colleagues.
Right.
Whereas this year we did tutoring, using virtual tutoring, if you will, using Zoom in order to be able to work with an organization that tutors youth. And so we've tried to adapt in such a way that we can still contribute. It's just in a different way.
Got it. I mean, adaptation is the word of the day, and
right.
It's snowing today, which is just another thank you 2020. I don't know about where all of our listeners live, but it's snowing in downtown Chicago, and honestly, I don't know how much more we can take. Mike, this never happens that we're out of official questions, so now we're going to go off script, and I'm wondering if you can share with us. You mentioned Northern Trust being part of the COVID fund with United Way and the Chicago Community Trust. Can you just share with us what it means both at Northern but also being part of the larger corporate philanthropic community in Chicago? What can you share about how quickly and caringly everyone came together and mobilized?
So, as I mentioned, it was an impressive effort, I would say, on the part of the United Way, Chicago Community Trust, and there were many others that were involved in leading that effort, and that worked well. And so I think that when something goes well, you want to build on success.
Right. And
so where those organizations, including us, have turned our attention to now is the recovery phase. And so now we're moving into what, again, being led by those organizations are calling Together We Rise, which is in coordination with the city as well and the mayor's efforts. And I think it's particularly important that we focus on this just like we did the actual pandemic, the immediate response to the pandemic, because I think it's, the human nature, if you will, is to say, boy, there's this issue, let's, all focus on the issue, but then, your attention can be taken away over time. And my view, and I think it's shared by others, is that the recovery is going to be disparate as well, and it's going to be uneven and inequitable. And so, what can we do to try to make it more equitable? And so, again, there's much that goes with that. And the one thing that I would say that we try to make sure that we're doing is to try to make it as, I'll say, efficient and as coordinated as possible.
Right.
There's a lot of areas where we may compete with other institutions. So I could name other banks that are in the Chicago market. Whether it's Dave Casper over at BMO Harris or Ed Waymer at Wintrust, and I could go down the list there. And we may, I'll say, have healthy competition for clients. But when it comes to the community, there really isn't competition.
Yeah.
That's where we work together and try to really coordinate those resources so that you get the greatest impact out of that. And that's why I'm very supportive of efforts like that try to coordinate what we're doing so we're not all off running doing our own things.
Right. And we see that a lot in human services, too, a very different industry. But, we're all there to improve people's lives and improve the lives of families and communities. And so if another organization can do it better, we all need to find our niche and contribute where we can contribute best. So I I can appreciate the healthy competition that you mentioned. And I'm really intrigued that you mentioned equity. We know we're hearing a lot about that, and it's in some ways long overdue. But it's really wonderful to hear that being so clearly articulated in people's visions for community development and for investment and for those other things. And your investment, Northern Trust's investment on the south and west sides with the youth, we know those are historically underinvested, and that's a gentle term, right? To say that they've been underinvested in. That kind of focus is really fantastic to hear. Is there anything else you want to share on the equity front, either initiatives at Northern Trust or how you're approaching your philanthropy?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you called out the word equity, because candidly, it's something that I would acknowledge I wouldn't have fully understood, I'll say, and embraced years ago. Yeah. But fortunately, I have colleagues and others that help educate me. And if you're willing to listen, it's amazing what you can learn. But, again, I could name a number of individuals, but one in particular here is Connie Lindsay, who heads up our diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts. And, frankly, a couple of years ago, it was just diversity and inclusion. Mm-hmm. And those are both important. But Connie really made the point to me, but also to our management group and to our employees, the importance of equity and adding that to it. And it really has flowed through to our philanthropic strategy as well. So when we talk about what we're doing on the south and west side and those basic needs, what we're trying to do is move up the starting place, if you will, or compensate for different starting places. If I gave you my background, I have had, I look at it and say I've had every advantage in the world. And when I look at others, I often say, it's amazing, either what they have accomplished or what they haven't, based on the hurdles that many people face. And as we know, some of those can be, almost, I'll call it, tangible hurdles in the sense of, housing and food and things like that that we talked about. And others can be, less tangible but no less real. So it's a lot easier for me as a white male growing up in our society over the last several decades than it is for other ethnicities. And so really confronting that to say, is that really equity? And so what can we do to essentially give everyone the opportunity to succeed in our society?
Right. Amen. And thank you, Michael. I think it takes a lot of humility on all of our parts to really come to terms with that starting place analogy, that we've all had different starting places and owe our success to a lot of things. So I appreciate that. We are over. Michael, we are so grateful that you took the time to talk with us today. Michael OGrady is Chairman and CEO of Northern Trust, a tremendous partner of Catholic Charities. Thank you for all you do.
Thank
Phil,
you, Mike.
I barely let you talk, but thanks for joining us today.
We're so grateful for your support, Mike.
Take care, everyone. And on behalf of WNDZ and 750 AM, we'll see you next week. Thank you.
Join us every Monday through Friday at this time for Catholic Chicago. You can stream our programs live or listen to past programs by visiting our website, archchicago.org, and clicking on Radio TV. And please connect with Catholic Chicago on social media.